Well, good evening and welcome to the Arbor Hills Nature Preserve in Plano, Texas. Tonight's exercise is a field test of the NEXTORCH TA20 with the FA1 tack ring as shown here. I want to thank NEXTORCH for providing me with both of these and making the review possible. Well, what do we have here? I have average size hands. This is obviously a very compact light. It is also heavily marketed to law enforcement. Now, I would not recommend this as a primary light. However, it may be useful as a very compact, very lightweight option to transition to for certain types of close quarters work. There are 3 output levels plus strobe, low, medium, high, topping out at 1,000 lumens. There are 2 modes plus a lock that are accessed from here. With a little bit of practice, you can get to where you can do that with one hand. You have tack and duty as the primary modes, and each of these allows you to access various output levels. Everything is controlled with the tail cap switch, either half or full press in tack. A half press gets you high, full press strobe. Duty, half press or press and release to turn on. Both of those start out in high. If you turn the light on, subsequent half presses cycle through high, medium, low, and then strobe, but duty always starts out in high. I know some people may not be too excited about having to go through strobe to go from low back to high, myself included, but that's the deal. Think about it before you hit that add to cart button. I'm not going to show all of this because it works exactly as described in the user's guide and exactly as shown in the demo video that already exists on the NEXTORCH website. Instead, I want to show you some things that aren't on the videos. I know whether you're in law enforcement or not, I'm going to get this question, so let's just get it out of the way. If you already have this in your hand and you get jammed up, especially since you've got this ring, could you use it as an impact weapon, especially given that it has a strike bezel, primarily intended for breaking windows? I've made a couple of observations in actually trying this out on the heavy bag with a very thick towel wrapped around it to prevent puncturing. First of all, again, I have average size hands. If you take that nice hard grip around the entirety of the light, notice that the light does not extend out beyond my hand. So any type of hammer fist style strike is going to risk hitting your hand as much as the edge of the light. The other issue you have is take a look at this part of the clip and notice how it's right up against my finger. Okay, that will press hard into the finger on any impact, and even with light impacts with this hard type of grip, that will hurt your finger. If you took a full force strike, it could even damage your hand. If you're going to do that, I'd recommend grabbing heavily, lots of pressure with your thumb and forefinger, and just let these rest naturally up here and use this type of grip, and notice that the light extends out beyond the edge of my hand. You'll get a little bit more success that way, but just a little bit. And to answer the other question, what about this? It's in fact quite useful for a number of PPCT style techniques as well as light pushing style motions and jabs. If you'd like more information on this, maybe like to see some demos, leave a comment. I'll see what I can do. Don't want to spend any more time on it. In fact, I've already talked too much. I know everybody is here to see beam shots, and more beam shots. Time for me to shut up and get to what everybody wants. Here we are right at the bridge where I normally do output level test, and we are starting out in low. And here is medium. Maximum line of sight, probably not quite 40 yards. And high. And to answer the question, yes, I'm feeling a very small amount of heat in the head area of the light. Nothing even close to uncomfortable, just a small amount. All right, let's kick off our practical testing tonight. We are at the playground area. There's still just a small amount of ambient light around. There is artificial lighting all around me, but not quite enough to adequately light up the ground in front of me. So let's say the kids were playing out here earlier, somebody lost something, now we have to come back and search for it. And so here's the TA20 in low. So I always like to run a test with the low mode. In fact, there's something that might have been lost right there. Kind of a hair bracket or something. And we'll just look around here. And that's our first test of the night. Whether you're in law enforcement chasing Billy Bad Guy or you're just out for a hike, at some point you may have to follow a groomed path. So I always like to try and get an idea of what's the lowest mode that is adequate for following some sort of groomed pathway. Now we're in medium, and I do this test for a lot of lights. I know that the ground slopes right to left, but in medium I can just barely tell that from here, barely. I can see rocks in front of me. I can get a tiny bit of shadowing from these grooves that have been cut out from rain wash, but this is just barely adequate. You have a little bit of side-to-side situational awareness. You could definitely do it, but you're focusing more on things very much in front of you inside 10 to 12 yards, and minimal detail, maybe 20-25 yards downrange. So there we have it. Here is another look at medium. We are by the entrance to the outer loop trail, looking out over a creek area. Max line of sight about 35 yards. Then I'll pan around to the right. And from here about 22 yards to that sign. Now we're looking at high. There's a second tree line behind the two trees that I'm looking at, and as I move out to the left, there's a tree there. Goes out to a bit over 100, maybe 105, 110 yards before we lose line of sight. And I can get some lighting. I can tell there's a tree out there. I could pick up eye shine. I could pick up movement. Of course, I could not do identifications. I could do detection. I just turned the light on in high. NextTorch does not provide an indication of step down. There's no step down data for the high mode, no burn down chart that I'm aware of. So what I'm going to do is just leave it on here, keep panning back and forth, and we'll see what the burn down looks like in real time. I'll also use this as a heat test. I'm holding the light very loosely, an advantage, of course, of this ring. I'm already feeling a buildup of heat. Not uncomfortable, but it's there. It's still warm, but by no means even close to uncomfortable. And we are over a minute. Yeah, I think I can see some ramping down, very gradual. No heat issues at all, really. It's warm, but there's a hint of a breeze out tonight. Okay, I'm going to let it run to a little over 3 minutes, and then we'll call it. I'm actually gripping the light fairly tightly now. No heat issues. Definitely tell it's lost something. Okay, that's a bit over 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and close it off here, let the light cool down a bit, then we'll run some more tests. At the top of the observation tower, looking across the bridge, 25 yards to the other end, 35 to the tree line across the intersecting concrete path. So let's suppose I hear something, need to light it up. Here's the TA20 in medium. And that definitely gets the job done, even out to the tree line. I could make a reasonable detection as to what's out there. I'm going to make my way back to the parking lot now. We'll run a couple more tests and then call it a night. I have my headlamp in 400 lumen flood. This is comparable to a lot of hiking headlamps you can get at sporting goods stores. So suppose I'm out on a night hike. I see some eye shine directly in front of me, but it's too dark to identify it. This is it. I can't get any more out of my headlamp. I'm at the highest level of illumination. So let me bring the TA20 in on high. And there we go. So this might be one possible use case for the light, and that is if you want a small, compact, very lightweight and easy to use option to accompany you on night hikes and get better information downrange that you cannot get from your headlamp. We are back at the parking lot, specifically the picnic area. And this has a very interesting mix of light and dark pockets. So in this scenario, we got called out. Somebody reported Billy Bad Guy. We got into the parking area, noticed some movement over here. So what I want to do is find out where the edge of the envelope is in terms of high mode and photonic barriers. So let's start with something very difficult. And you can see this light is just too low candela to punch through that area. So wait, I heard something back through here. Brief burst on high. To the right, to the right. Okay. Nothing there. Whoa, behind me, behind me. Okay, go over in this area. Okay, around this area. I think we may have seen it. Check my 6. All right, no luck. All right, then, I guess I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. If there are additional tests you'd like to see with this light, let me know. I'll see what I can do. And as always, until the next review, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching the video.